welcome back to my channel. I'm your girl, Sincerely KSO. If it's your first time to my channel, welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back, my honeys. Thank you so much for joining me again today. We've got a request a reaction, and this is by BOBBIE GENTRY. Fancy. I do know who she is. First time listening to the song. Play.
A warm welcome to our Mississippi River Delta Queen,
Isn't that Johnny
Miss
Cash?
BOBBIE Gentry.
I remember it all very well. Looking back, it was the summer I turned 18. We lived in a one-room run-down shack on the outskirts of New Orleans. We didn't have money for food or rent, to say the least. We were hard pressed. Then Mama spent every last penny she had to buy me a dancing dress. Mama watched me comb and curl my hair, and she painted up my eyes and lips. And then I stepped into the satin dancing dress. It was fit on the side, cleaned up to my hips. It was red with velvet trim, and it fit me good. And staring back from the looking glass was a woman where a half-grown kid had stood. Here's your one chance, Fancy, don't let me down. Here's your one chance, Fancy, don't let me down. Lord, forgive me for what I do. If you want out, well, it's up to you. Now don't let me down. Your mama's gonna help you move uptown. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Mama dabbed a little bit of perfume on my neck, and she kissed my cheeks. And I saw the tears well up in her troubled eyes when she started to speak. She looked at a pitiful shack, and then she looked at me and took a ragged breath. Pa's running off, and I'm real sick, and the baby's gonna starve to death. She handed me a heart-shaped locket that said, to thine own self be true. And I shivered as I watched a roach crawl across the toe of my high-heel shoe. It sounded like somebody else who was talking, asking, Mama, what do I do? Just be nice to the gentleman, Fancy, and they'll be nice to you. 'Cause here's your one chance, Fancy, don't let me down. Here's your one chance, Fancy, don't let me down. Lord, forgive me for what I do. If you want out, well, it's up to you. Now get on out, girl, you better start moving uptown. That was the last time I saw my mom, and I left that rickety shack. 'Cause the welfare people came and took the baby, Ma died, and I ain't been back. But the wheels of fate had started to turn, and for me there was no way out. And it wasn't very long till I knew exactly what my mom had been talking about. I did what I had to do, but I made myself a solemn vow that I was going to be a lady someday, though I didn't know when or how. I couldn't see spending the rest of my life with my head hung down in shame. I might have been born just plain white trash, but Fancy was my name. Here's your one chance, Fancy, don't let me down. Here's your one chance, Fancy, don't let me down. Wasn't long after a benevolent man took me in off the street. And 1 week later I was pouring his tea in a 5-room hotel suite. Well, I've charmed a king, a congressman, and an occasional aristocrat. And I got me a Georgia mansion in an elegant New York townhouse flat, and I ain't done dancing. In this world there's a lot of self-righteous hypocrites that would call me bad. Like me. Criticize my mama for turning me out, no matter how little we had. And though I ain't had to worry about nothing for now 15 years, I can still hear the desperation in my poor mama's voice ringing in my ear. Here's your one chance, Fancy, don't let me down. Here's your one chance, Fancy, don't let me down. Lord, forgive me for what I do. You want out, well, it's up to you. Now don't let me down. Your mama's gonna help you move uptown. And I guess she did.
You did good, Fancy. I'm not judging you. I was just kidding. When she said, I know there's some self-righteous people, and I was like me? you know, because I was thrown into the story. Sorry if I was talking while she was singing. I was really, I was paying attention to every word. I love Bobbie Gentry. I think she's just incredible. Her stories are so heartfelt. Her songs are stories, and not that I can relate to what Fancy was going through, but I can understand her choices. She didn't have a choice, to come to think of it. She didn't have a choice. What was she going to do? Starve to death on the streets of New Orleans? Her mother didn't have the courage to tell her, like, I'm sending you off into the world where I know your beauty's probably the only thing you can sell for food, or your body. But the mother didn't have the heart to tell her child that. So she just made her look good in the red dress that she managed to scrunch together. You know, I think something about her lips made her lips cherry red, and then gave her a locket to remember her by, because she knew she was dying. She knew that people will probably take in her child, the baby, and adopt it and adopt the baby. But what would happen to 18-year-old Fancy? At 18, she's coming into herself. She probably has, you know, curves and looks good. Men will want to latch onto that. And she was like, Fancy, don't let me down. Not because she expected her daughter to come back for her, but her child was the only legacy she had. She was like, don't die, don't give up, just keep pushing through. Oh my goodness, I don't want to cry. I'm not judging people who have gone through things like that. I've actually counseled people who, back home in Nigeria, who feel they don't have any option. And the people always say there's another way, but if you think of society, you realize that there are so, Nigeria isn't like America. There aren't scholarships, there aren't options, there aren't like even food tags where you could say, okay, I'm taking this coupon and I'm gonna get. There's nothing like that. There is nothing like that. Some people don't have that option. They don't have it. You know, there's always somewhere you can say, okay, I'm gonna sleep. If I get thrown out of my apartment, the government provides a home, a house, and shelter. Some countries don't have that. They don't have that option. If you're out on the street, you're literally on the street. You know what I mean? There isn't a place you can go and say, oh, let me just stay here for a few days. Nothing. All right, so I remember it all very well looking back. It was the summer that I turned 18. We were living in a one-room rundown shack on the outskirts of New Orleans. We didn't have money for food or rent. To say the least, we were hard pressed. Then Mama spent every penny we had to buy me a dancing dress. I don't want to cry, you guys. I don't want to cry. Mama washed and combed and curled my hair and painted my eyes and lips. And then I stepped into my satin dancing dress. There was a split on the side clean up to my hips. So the mother was dressing her up seductively on purpose. Well, it was red, velvet trimmed, and it fit me good. Staring, and my heart is racing, you guys. And staring back from looking glass was a woman where half-grown kid had stood. Here's your one chance, Fancy, don't let me down. Here's your one chance, Fancy, don't let me down. Lord, forgive me for what I do. The mother felt so guilty. But if you want out, well, it's up to you. Don't let me down. Mama daubed a little bit of perfume on my neck as she kissed my cheek. Then I saw tears well up in her troubled eyes when she started to speak. She looked at our pitiful shack and said, she looked at me and took a ragged breath. Your pa's run off, that's her father's gone, and I'm really sick. And the baby's gonna starve to death. She handed me a heart-shaped locket and that said, to thine own self be true. To thine own self, that don't forget who you are. That you aren't what you're doing right now. It's just to get to a better end. That's what the mother was saying. That was the lucky that saved her. Because she knew in her heart, Fancy knew she didn't want to be a prostitute forever. She knew she just had to do this for a little bit and then become her own woman. Oh my God, you guys. And I shivered as I watched a roach crawled across the tip of my high-heeled shoe. There were roaches in their house, in their shack. It sounded like somebody else that was talking, asking, Mama, what do I do? She said, just be nice to the gentlemen, Fancy, and they'll be nice to you. Here's your one chance, Fancy. Don't let me down. Well, that was the last time I saw my mom the night I left that rickety shack. Because welfare people came and took the baby. Mama died and I ain't been back. But the wheels of the fate started to turn. And as for me, there was no way out. It wasn't very long till I knew exactly what my mama had been talking about. And I did what I had to do. But I made myself this solemn vow that I was gonna be a lady someday, though I didn't know when or how. I couldn't see spending the rest of my life with my head hung down in shame. I might have been born just plain white trash, but Fancy was my name. Oh my God. You see, when you read the lyrics, it hits you even more. Yeah. I was fighting tears when she was singing. Seriously, I was trying to just, I didn't want to cry. Oh. It wasn't long after a benevolent man took me in off the street, and 1 week later I was pouring his tea in a five-room hotel suite. Yeah, well, I charmed a king, a congressman, and an occasional aristocrat, and I got me a Georgia mansion and an elegant New York townhouse flat. I ain't done bad. I have nothing to worry about. It's been 15 years, and I can still hear the desperation in my poor mama's voice. Here's your one chance, Fancy. Don't